Hello.
there. Craig, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful, sir. How are you?
It's Finance Aloha Friday, so
You look like you're ready for the weekend.
yeah, I'm coming to you live from the 1305 studio in beautiful downtown Coral Springs. I've got my Dolphins cap on.
I see.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for the upcoming season. I don't have a lot of high hopes. I know you and I are both Dolphins fans, born and raised down here. And
Tortured. Yes.
well, I figure if you set low expectations and if they play well, we'll be happy later in the season.
That's right. I've resigned myself to if two is playing, hey, I'll be entertained. That's
Yeah.
and if I can be entertained, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll see. And I mean, they kick off next weekend. Yeah, next weekend they
Yes.
kick off tomorrow. Tomorrow is da 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 da. Got FSU against Alabama. I'm actually going to go watch the game. But a old shipmate of mine should be fun. Both my daughters are Seminoles. You're a Seminole.
Yes, and yep, go Knowles. I don't have high hopes for that one either, but maybe I'll be surprised. That'd be nice.
We at least Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban anymore. So
That's true.
there's some positive. Who knows? Maybe listen. A lot of times the first game of the year of college football. A lot of times there's an upset. So
USF spanked Boise State last night pretty well. It was pretty impressive.
really?
So yeah.
I did not see
Boise
that.
State was ranked, and they got their rear ends handed to them by USF. They got
Really?
stomped.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice to know. Nice to know.
We shall see. But what's going on in the world of real estate, bro?
So welcome to the South Florida Mortgage Report. I'm Billy May, your hat dude wearing mortgage guy. We have Craig Garcia, president of Capital Partners Mortgage of South Florida. South Florida Mortgage Report. Remember, we're on, thanks to you, Craig. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're worldwide now. We're growing by leaps and bounds. So
Please subscribe.
yes, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, whatever size it is, whatever size. So we're going to talk about mortgage rates. We're going to talk about the Hometown Heroes product that's been out for a couple of weeks now. We'll kind of got to check in with that. We're also going to talk about kind of on a national level, and even maybe somewhat a little bit local level about that. Some housing indexes and reports have come out. What's going on? And also, we're going to tell you about a condo deal that we were able to do that basically somebody else said no. We said yes, and there's a way around things sometimes, and that's why you got to work with Capital Partners Mortgage. We are the condo experts. There's a reason why. Yeah. So mortgage rates, the weekly survey came out. We keep trending downwards, Craig. We're getting near that 6.5 kind of mark almost in that range, and that's great news. We love that. I mean, we hope it keeps going lower.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I'd like to get even lower, but all these, and what I wanted to bring up, Craig, actually is, people don't realize that rates can change sometimes during the day. And we have a couple of alerts this week where pricing improved during the day. Right. And sometimes that happens. Now we know they go up quicker and they come down slower, but we had a couple of times during this week where we had the price improvements during the day. So that's all good news.
Yeah, it's been nice. We had another inflation report that came out today that was actually in line with expectations. So no surprises to the negative for rates. And so, yeah, I mean, since that we had that really weak jobs report that came out, and then with all the revisions, and then rates dropped, then they kind of went up a little bit, but then since then, I mean, they've really kind of been more to the downside than the upside. So yeah, no, good news for us in the rate front. So
could change next Friday though, because next Friday is the first week of the month, and the jobs report comes out again. The beginning of the month next month. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. But this all could change by next Friday, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's the next big one. So yeah, next Friday.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rates, I was checking out online this morning in regards to Hometown Heroes, the down payment assistance program for Florida. I think last week was the first week there was $47 million available. Now it's 44. So it's like they've about $3 million of loans a week being originated. So it's probably about you said like a 3-month clip, basically.
Another 13 weeks.
To say that this pace, you could have a 3 months pace.
Yeah.
So, and the rates are good.
The rates on it are really attractive. So yeah, no. So if you are in one of these employment categories, you get clients. If you're a realtor, you have customers in one of these employment categories. It's a very attractive program. They got to be working full time, and and definitely get it while you can. But certainly by the end of the year, that'll be that looks to be gone.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It's that time of the year, and it's August. I know it's a little bit, slow. I think you and I discussed it. historically speaking, this is time of year it is a little bit slow. But we're kind of past that hump now in August. The kids are back in school, and we think with these lower rates now and the hometown heroes available, that hopefully we'll see some things picking up here and so forth. And there's some, I see price reductions coming. I read stories of people taking their homes off the market. So we kind of have a nice balance right now. We don't have too much inventory. We got a nice selection inventory, and not that people aren't overpaying for houses. So, could be some good headway going into the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and yeah, no, I mean, in the 27, 28 years been doing this, August has traditionally been a little bit of a lull kind of a month. You have people going on vacation, coming back, going to school, going back to school. So, I think after Labor Day, usually everything starts going in. So I think I'm looking forward to a nice resting weekend and then getting back to the grindstone next week. So
Yeah. No more Jerry Lewis telethon on Labor Day. I remember as a kid watching that. Those were great.
that's a
That's
very
very
old
old
reference.
reference.
So
Well, I don't know. I mean, come on. Just remember those days. It was like Ed Sullivan. He had all those people on there.
yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
I,
So it was
I
all
do,
good.
I do.
He used to own a place in Palmyra, as a matter of fact, from years ago.
No kidding. All right.
It was the rumor, I guess. I don't know. So speaking of home sales, I mean, you've got some data
Yes.
for us as far as the Case-Shiller report is and some other economic factors and so forth. What's going on with the home sales?
Yeah. So, Bill, there was a couple of big data that was released this week. So the Federal Home Finance Agency, they released their home price index and this week, and basically showed year over year 2.9% increase. So still prices are not going down. The prices were still going up year over year, but it was the lowest year over year increase since 2012. So still up, but slower than it's been in some time. And then there's another one called the Case-Shiller, and that showed up 1.9 year over year. This is for June. And in Case-Shiller tends to be a little bit more volatile, but it's basically painting the same picture. Um, Actually, Case-Shiller, if you take out kind of the bump that you get from seasonality, it looks like on that one prices might be sliding a little bit. But bottom line, year over year numbers are positive, but the month to month adjusted trend is weakening. So to your point, still a good time to be a buyer. I mean, there's the buyers are not they've got some ability to negotiate deals. The other thing that came out was new home sales, and new home sales have really been pretty kind of stable last couple of years. But one of the things that we've been talking about that we know is that one of the reasons that they've kept things pretty stable is they've increased their incentives.
Oh,
So I
huge.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
so they're saying that, definitely 2/3 to 3/4 of home builders are offering incentives to home buyers. And we've seen incentive packages as much as 13%. So,
Wow.
so it's definitely an interesting thing. Certainly if you're a buyer and that's something that's interesting to you, but if you're an agent, and you're working with sellers or you are a property seller, really important to understand that that is your competition. So
Yeah.
when you hear us talking about, hey, consider a 2-1 buy down to help market your property, that's what these builders are doing is they're throwing money to try to get the buyers to take action today, get them off the fence, get them to move. And I think that's one of the ways that deals are getting done right now. So, and the buyers are, I mean, the builders, I should say, they've been kind of leading the way in that regard. So, but yeah, that's what's going on with and that's really more national.
That's national. I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
mean, like you've been doing this for 28 years in South Florida. I've been doing this for 23 years in South
yeah,
Florida. I mean, there's really, well, we know in Broward there's really no new development for the most part. There's a couple of things here and there, but nothing like the big builders. Palm Beach County is different, and South Miami is different, but we don't really see that too much as far as the builder incentives. But like you said, nationally, it is something that is dealt with nationally.
yep.
Mm.
And yeah, so the next thing I was going to talk about was we had a situation that I thought was pretty interesting and wanted to bring up, which was a condo that was deemed to be non-warrantable. And non-warrantable is, you can't sell the loan to one of the agencies, which is typically Fannie or Freddie. And so it was on Fannie Mae's list as being unavailable. And it turns out that the reason it was unavailable was because of it didn't have reserves, interestingly enough. So I actually reached out to them because it's like, well, that usually isn't the only thing that would make something unavailable. But in this case, their response was, "Hey, we were aware that it didn't have reserves, and that's one of the things that can make it ineligible. So we did mark it as unavailable, and we won't remove it from there until we are aware that it can show that it does have reserves." So it was a little surprising to me. I hadn't really seen that
Yeah,
before.
that's interesting. We usually
Yeah,
never see unavailable for reserves, because we all know the primary home should be 25% down. We're not really looking at the budget. And
correct,
but for a
correct.
lender or Fannie Mae to put that on the site, that's very rare. And also, let me just highlight really quick. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of agents don't know that we have access to that Fannie Mae site. Not all lenders actually check that site.
Absolutely. Let me tell you the rest of the story, and then we'll circle back to that. But
Sure.
basically, what turns out is, and it's one of the reasons it's really important when you're dealing with condos. You can't let buyers just go and get a loan from anybody, and certainly on the internet or somebody a bank in New
Yeah.
York, because the condo market is really intricate, and so a lot of lenders, certainly a lot of banks might look at that Fannie Mae list and say, "Oh, you can't do a loan in there," but it turns out that hey, we have investors that we can work with Fannie, we can work with Freddie, and we have a whole bevy of other investors for stuff that we can't fit into Fannie and Freddie. But in this
Right.
case, we have an investor that was perfectly happy to take that condo and underwrite it, and we got it approved and closed Freddie Mac instead of Fannie Mae.
That's
So
great.
yeah, it was great, and it's just an interesting thing, with this whole talk of Fannie and Freddie going private. There may be some screws tightening in both of these organizations, and they might
Yeah.
be tightening up their risk a little bit because they're getting ready to be, to go public. So anyway, so I thought that was interesting, and then to your point, Bill, if you are an agent, you definitely want to, run your condos, any condo deal, whether it's you're working with the buyer or certainly the listing, run it by us. We have access to the list. We can see, hey, is this a condo that is deemed already approvable, or is it deemed that it's got some type of an issue where you can't get an agency loan? And that doesn't mean you can't get any loan. There's plenty of loans we can get, but you just can't get maybe the primary loans that most people are seeking. So,
Yeah.
and we pre-underwrite budgets and condo insurance for people like every day. So all you have to do is reach out to us. We're happy to look at those things and tell you up front, hey, this is a condo that can get regular financing in, or hey, we know you've got an issue here. This is what it is. This is what the alternative financing is that you probably have to look at instead. So
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have a listing, if you're a realtor and you have an upcoming listing, and even before, if you go on the listing appointment, send me the address. We'll take a look at it for you because if there's something in the system that's a red flag, we can kind of forewarn you.
for
Um,
sure.
what some of the challenges you may have. I spoke with an agent earlier this week, and on their listing, it was somebody that she's helping, another newer agent, and they got a clear to close from a lender. And then the day of closing, that lender came back and says, "Oh, sorry, we can't close this condo because the budget doesn't have enough reserves." It already issued a clear to close, and it's
Something
amazing.
fishy about that clear to close.
Well, you and I know that, you know what I mean? It just amazes me, but that's still what happens in our market. And the
That's
listing agent had the
wild.
place off the market for like 45, 50 days.
That's crazy.
And now they
That's
got to
unfortunate.
start from scratch again. And those are the types of things that, these are the services that we offer. We have access to this Fannie Mae list that we can help you before you get too deep into something and say, hey, yes, this
Yeah.
condo is good to go, or no, it's not good to go. Here's an issue. Or by the way, you need the master insurance or this or that to help us kind of wade through it before you get so deep into it. And it's going to save everybody a lot of time and a lot of headache and everything. So if you're
Yep.
showing a potential buyer a condo, if you have a listing coming up a condo, give me a shout. Give us a shout. Let us take a look at it.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah.
So
We
what
do this
else?
all day. We deal with all day long, Craig, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's condos. I mean, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what big plans for the weekend, Bill?
No, it's Labor Day weekend, down, of course, about the Jerry Lewis thing, but I am going to watch the FSU, Alabama game tomorrow. Have my daughters over for barbecue on Sunday. Hopefully the weather
Nice.
sticks with us.
Yep.
And then that's about it. Just going to be chilling out, relaxing, and enjoying the South Florida lifestyle here. So
There you go.
how about you, Craig?
Same thing. Just grilling, hanging out with some family. Got my
Yeah.
I have a nephew now who is engaged, and he is just about to graduate from the police academy. So
Really?
I'm feeling old. But,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
no, so he's gonna be in town, so looking forward to that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting. Well, it's a
Yeah.
great weekend to be with family. It's gonna be a nice long holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend. So great stuff.
Yep. Cool. Well,
Sounds good.
enjoy yourself, and,
You too.
we will see you on the other side,
We'll
and we'll
see
see
you
you at the
at
closing
the
table.
closing table.
Alright.
Have a good weekend, Craig.
You too, sir.
See ya.